The hum of the oven filled Nia Coleman's small kitchen, the scent of cinnamon and bourbon floating through the air like memory. Her phone buzzed against the counter, cutting through the calm. She wiped her hands on her apron, the one her grandma sewed years ago, and looked at the message that would freeze her in place. "Congrats, Tasha Bryant, winner of the Atlanta Christmas Culinary Showcase." Nia blinked. Her heart dropped. That was her recipe. Her sweet potato bourbon souffle, the same one she'd spent months perfecting, the same one Tasha swore she wouldn't use. Nia's hands trembled. "She didn't," she whispered, voice cracking as tears pooled in her eyes. The TV behind her replayed Tasha's smiling face, holding a golden plaque, reporters crowding her like she was Atlanta's new kitchen queen. Nia turned off the oven, the souffle inside unfinished, just like her spirit. The warmth in the room suddenly felt cold. The next morning, the city outside looked like a Christmas postcard, snow dusting the rooftops, laughter echoing from kids throwing snowballs. But Nia's kitchen felt hollow. Her grandma's photo hung above the stove, smiling like she could still taste Nia's dreams. Miss Loretta had always said, "Baby, don't cook for trophies. Cook for truth." But the truth hurt. The truth was, Tasha stole her recipe and her spotlight. A knock came at the door. Malik, holding a clipboard in guilt. He avoided her eyes. "Hey, Nia," he said softly. "The city's looking for extra hands for the mayor's Gala catering team." "Thought of you." Nia crossed her arms. "Working under Tasha," he nodded. "It's work." She hesitated, bitterness biting harder than the winter wind. "You know she stole from me, right?" Malik sighed. "Well, but sometimes revenge starts in the kitchen." Nia watched Malik leave, his breath visible in the cold. Her kitchen felt different now. Less like defeat, more like challenge. She tied her apron tighter, flipped open her notebook, and whispered, "All right, Grandma, let's get to work." Her son Zion peeked around the doorway, holding a tiny whisk. "Mommy, can I help?" She smiled weakly. "You already do, baby." The weight of betrayal slowly transformed into something sharper. Focus. She started mixing batter again, the rhythm of the whisk syncing with her heartbeat. Every stir was a vow, not to win, but to reclaim what was hers. Later that night, Nia packed her knives into a worn leather roll. Her hands were steady now. Outside, the streets shimmered with holiday lights and the sound of distant church choirs. She paused by her grandma's photo again. "If she's gonna take my recipe," Nia whispered, "then she's gonna have to taste my truth." She slipped on her coat, locked the door, and stepped into the cold, each footstep crunching like punctuation. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming her name, one dish at a time. At the city's Grand Convention Center, the mayor's Christmas Gala banner hung high, shimmering like temptation. Nia entered quietly, blending in with the catering staff. The smell of pine and champagne filled the air. Across the ballroom, Tasha stood laughing beside reporters, bathed in flashbulbs. Nia adjusted her cap, swallowed her pride, and rolled in a tray of appetizers. Malik caught her eye from across the room, a silent nod of respect. Underneath the glamour, a storm was brewing. Nia didn't need the microphone or the cameras. Her truth would speak through flavor. And when it did, no one would forget her name. The back kitchen of the Atlanta Convention Center buzzed like a beehive. Steam hissed, trays clattered, and voices overlapped with orders barked from every corner. Nia worked quietly at the prep station, her hands fast, precise, years of practice turning pain into rhythm. Tasha strutted in wearing designer heels, clipboard in hand, giving orders like she owned the place. "Make sure my soufflés go out first," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Malik watched from the doorway, torn between duty and conscience. Nia didn't look up. Her silence said enough. When Tasha leaned closer, whispering, You're lucky to be here, girl. Nia finally met her eyes, steady, unshaken. Yeah, she replied. But you're lucky. I cook better angry. The kitchen froze. Then Malik cracked a small grin, and the rhythm started again. Hours passed, but Nia never slowed. She diced, whisked, and plated until her body moved like a song she'd known forever. The staff started noticing her flow, quietly following her lead. Meanwhile, Tasha's dishes piled up, delayed and sloppy. Malik stepped in, trying to keep order, but his eyes lingered on Nia, the way she created calm in chaos. When a sous chef accidentally dropped a tray, everyone froze. Nia stepped in without hesitation, saving what she could and resetting the pace. We don't stop for spills, she said firmly. We clean it and keep moving. For the first time, the team nodded at her words, not Tasha's. Power was shifting, one plate at a time. By late evening, the kitchen had calmed. Nia stood by the back door, hands sore, back aching, eyes fixed on the city lights outside. She thought of Zion at home with Miss Loretta, probably asleep by now, dreaming of Christmas morning. A quiet ache rose in her chest, not sadness, just purpose. Malik approached, handing her a cup of coffee. You ever think about owning your own restaurant? He asked. She chuckled softly. Every day, he smiled. Then act like it's already yours. Their eyes met. A spark of something real layered beneath exhaustion. Nia took a sip, her reflection glowing in the coffee's surface. Guess I'm getting closer, she murmured. The next morning, the news hit the kitchen. The mayor himself would stop by for a tasting before the big gala. Panic erupted. Tasha barked orders, snapping at everyone to polish plates and perfect sauces. Nia stayed steady, focused on her sweet potato souffle, the real version. Hers, the one from Grandma's book. Malik caught her prepping bourbon glaze and whispered, You sure you want to risk it? She smiled, eyes glinting. I'm not risking anything. I'm reclaiming. The oven timer dinged, and a smell filled the air so rich it silenced the chaos. Heads turned. Even Tasha stopped talking. For a brief moment, everyone could taste the truth. That night, the kitchen lights dimmed after hours. Everyone else had gone home. Nia stayed behind, cleaning her station, humming softly to an old gospel tune her grandma used to sing. She looked up at the mayor's gala menu pinned to the corkboard, every dish listed under Chef Tasha Bryant. Nia pulled a pen from her pocket, drew a tiny star beside sweet potato bourbon souffle, and whispered, Let's see who they remember. Her voice carried into the silence like a promise, not loud, but strong enough to echo through tomorrow. The morning before the gala, tension filled the air like smoke. Nia stood in the prep room, her station organized with calm precision. Across the room, Tasha barked into her phone, voice sharp, pacing. Malik watched from the hall, sensing a storm brewing. Nia's souffle sat cooling on a rack, its aroma drifting like truth through the chaos. A few staff whispered, That's the real recipe. Tasha caught the looks, slammed her phone down, and marched over. What you got cooking, Nia? She asked, smiling too wide. Nia didn't look up. Something familiar. The words sliced sharper than her knife. Tasha leaned in close, tone low. You don't belong here. Nia's eyes rose steady. Neither does a lie. For a moment, no one breathed. Malik's heart pounded. The truth was starting to smell too good to ignore. However, I named the Io Dimage as Salway and to ignore. By noon, the tasting began. City officials filed into the dining hall, plates arranged in front of them like trophies. Nia stood hidden behind a partition, watching from the shadows. Malik moved between tables, presenting dishes with practiced charm. When the souffle was served, the room fell silent. Forks paused midair, then lowered, slowly. One of the officials looked up. "This tastes different," she said. "Better." Tasha's face froze in her smile, hand twitching around her fork. Malik met Nia's eyes from across the room. That knowing, silent spark, the truth, had flavor now, and it was spreading fast. After the tasting, whispers followed Tasha down every hallway. "Didn't she say that was hers? It's identical to Nia." Gossip moved faster than light. In the storage room, Malik cornered Tasha, his voice low but firm. "You really think you can hide the truth forever?" Tasha crossed her arms. "I built this. I deserve it." Malik shook his head. "You built it on somebody else's fire." He walked away before she could answer, leaving her staring into the shadows, her reflection caught in a stack of silver trays, distorted, doubled, false. Later that evening, Nia slipped outside to catch her breath. The city skyline glowed behind her, lights twinkling like promises she wasn't sure she believed in yet. She sat on the steps behind the hall, letting the winter air cool her anger. Malik joined her quietly, handing her his coat. "You good?" he asked. "I'm trying," she said, smiling faintly. "Feels like the world finally catching up to something I knew all along." Malik nodded. Truth got a way of showing up. "Even if you ain't ready." They sat in silence, the cold wind carrying faint carols from the city below. Inside, Tasha stood before her mirror, fixing her makeup with trembling hands. The reflection didn't lie, her confidence cracked. From the hallway she heard staff whisper Nia's name again, louder this time. That dish was hers. Everybody knows now. Tasha's breath hitched. She turned, eyes hard, voice trembling. "Not yet," she muttered to herself. She grabbed her phone, dialing fast. "We need to make sure she doesn't cook tomorrow. I don't care how." Her reflection glared back, hollow-eyed, as though even the mirror refused to agree. The morning of the gala arrived with gray skies and cold air that stung like warning. Inside the prep kitchen, tension hummed beneath the sound of clattering trays. Nia moved with focus, humming softly, her rhythm unbroken. But as she reached for her ingredients, her heart dropped. The sweet potatoes were gone. Panic flashed across her face. "Where's my bin?" she asked, scanning the counters. A young prep cook shrugged nervously. Malik appeared beside her, sensing trouble. "They were right here," Nia said. "Last night." Malik frowned. "You think—" "I don't think," Nia interrupted. "I know." Tasha's laughter echoed faintly from across the room, smooth and poisonous. Nia clenched her fists, inhaled slow, and whispered, "She want war. Let's cook one." Nia stormed into the pantry, breath shallow, hands trembling with controlled fury. Her eyes darted across shelves until she saw it. Her bin, shoved behind a stack of boxes, sweet potatoes bruised and half smashed. The anger rose fast, hot, unstoppable. She dragged the bin out, cleaned what she could, and set the rest aside. Malik followed her quietly. "She's trying to break you," he said. Nia didn't look up. Then she forgot. "I was built in fire." Her voice was low, steady, and dangerous. She pulled out her old handwritten recipe book, flipping it open with care, every page smudged with history. The kitchen wasn't a place of defeat anymore. It was an altar. Hours passed, and the air grew thick with tension and heat. Tasha floated through the room, checking plates that others had perfected. She stopped by Nia's station, voice dripping with fake sweetness. "You sure you're ready for the big crowd tonight?" Nia didn't answer. The oven timer dinged softly, and the smell of bourbon and cinnamon filled the air. Tasha's smile faltered. She whispered. Nia turned, wiping her hands, eyes steady. "Yeah, it's called the truth." The room went silent. Every cook felt it. The shift, Tasha's smirk fell, replaced by something she couldn't name. In the break room, the confrontation finally boiled over. Nia and Tasha stood inches apart, the hum of refrigerators filling the silence. "You think I ain't see what you did?" Nia's voice cracked but stayed fierce. "You stole from me, then tried to bury me." Tasha's eyes flashed. "You were too small to win big. I just made it happen." "No," Nia shot back. "You made it fake." The words hung heavy. Tasha's shoulders stiffened. "You really think anyone's gonna care who cooked it first?" Nia stepped forward. "When they taste it tonight, they will." Tasha's hand trembled, and for the first time, she looked scared. After Tasha stormed out, Nia sat alone, her chest heaving, eyes wet but proud. She opened her phone to a message from Miss Loretta. "Baby, don't fight fire. Just let them taste your smoke." Nia smiled softly, wiping her tears. The kitchen lights dimmed as night settled in. She turned toward her oven, whispering, "Let's show them what real love tastes like." Outside, snow began to fall again, thick and heavy, muffling the city's noise. Nia's soufflé rose perfectly in the heat, her truth finally ready to be served. The mayor's Christmas gala sparkled like a movie scene. Chandeliers dripping with light, violins humming carols, and the scent of roasted pecans drifting through the air. Nia moved through the kitchen in her crisp uniform, steady and silent. Tonight wasn't about revenge, it was about presence. Across the ballroom, Tasha worked the cameras, laughter loud, smile sharp. Malik gave last-minute instructions to the staff, his eyes landing on Nia for a brief second. Silent encouragement. When the first trays rolled out, Nia's hands didn't shake. Her dish, her heart, her story, all plated and ready. Table 1, soufflés, someone called. Nia exhaled. The moment she'd been cooking for had finally arrived. The soufflés were served, one by one, to tables lined with Atlanta's elite. The mayor's wife took the first bite, closing her eyes as flavor flooded through her. "Oh my lord," she whispered. "Who made this?" The question rippled down the line. Tasha, positioned near the podium, smiled nervously. "It's my signature," she said. Voice shaky, Malik froze mid-step. From behind the service door, Nia listened, her heart pounding. But then a man from the catering team spoke up. "Chef Nia made those." The words spread fast, unstoppable. Gasps filled the room like fire catching silk. Nia closed her eyes, whispering, "Truth. Don't need a mic." Silence turned to whispers. Reporters in the crowd began pulling up old posts, photos of Nia's original recipe, her signature plating, her brand name scribbled on the edge of a cookbook page. The truth unfolded in real time. A public undoing of Tasha's illusion. Malik stepped forward, microphone in hand, voice steady but emotional. "There's only one chef behind this masterpiece," he said, "and she ain't on the stage. She's in that kitchen." The crowd turned. Nia stood at the doorway, hands clasped, eyes wide with disbelief. Cameras flashed, lights catching her, like dawn breaking over darkness. The applause came slow at first. Then it grew, rolling through the hall like thunder. Nia's chest tightened, breath hitching as tears welled in her eyes. Malik smiled softly, motioning her forward. "Come on, chef," he said. The crowd parted, and Nia walked through like it was all a dream. The lights, the faces, the sound of her own name being chanted. "Nia Coleman, Nia Coleman." Tasha turned away, her smile gone, swallowed by the noise she couldn't control. Nia reached the stage, hands shaking, heart full. Malik whispered, You did it your way, she nodded. The only way I know. After the lights dimmed and guests drifted home, Nia stood alone on the empty stage. The sound of distant carolers floated through the cold night air. She looked up at the banner that read, Mayor's Christmas Gala, 2025. And beneath it, her name now glowed on the digital marquee. Chef Nia Coleman, featured culinary artist. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Quiet and grateful, Malik approached from the side, slipping his jacket over her shoulders. Looks better up there with your name on it, he said softly. Nia laughed through the tears. Guess the kitchen finally called my name. The camera lingered on her face. Strength, relief, peace. A woman reborn by her own fire. The next morning, the sun poured through Nia's apartment like gold. Warm, new, cleansing. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Messages from reporters, chefs, old friends. Chef Nia Coleman, the real winner. One headline read. She stared at it, shaking her head in disbelief. Miss Loretta sat at the kitchen table sipping coffee. That familiar glimmer in her eyes. See, baby, she said with a smile. You can't steal what's been blessed. Nia laughed softly, covering her mouth. I just wanted them to taste the truth. Loretta reached across the table, squeezing her hand. They did. Now they hungry for more. For the first time in a long time, Nia allowed herself to breathe. Not just survive, but exist fully. Proudly. Loudly. Across town, Tasha sat in her car outside the convention center. Engine off, makeup streaked. Her phone buzzed with messages. Sponsors pulling out. Reporters asking questions she didn't want to answer. She slammed it down and stared at her reflection in the rearview mirror, unrecognizable beneath the glitter that now looked like dust. For the first time, she felt the weight of what she'd done. Not just losing fame, but losing herself. A single tear traced her cheek before she started the engine. Somewhere deep inside, she whispered, she earned it. The sound of her own voice startled her. For once, it didn't sound like a lie. Later that day, Nia arrived back at the convention hall, not as staff, but as guest of honor. Her new banner hung over the entrance, featuring Chef Nia Coleman, authentic Southern soul. Cameras flashed as Malik waited by the door, hands in his pockets, smile soft but proud. You ready? He asked. Nia nodded. Been ready my whole life. They walked in together, past the same kitchen doors that once hid her truth. The same staff who'd ignored her now greeted her with applause. Chef Nia, one shouted. She smiled wide, heart full. This time the lights were hers, not borrowed, not stolen, earned. Inside, Malik introduced her to city officials and investors, each one offering handshakes and smiles. We'd love to talk about a restaurant, one said. Nia blinked, almost laughing. The thought of it felt too big, too sudden, yet perfectly timed. Malik leaned close. You deserve all of it. She looked up at him, eyes glimmering. You were there when nobody saw me. He shrugged, grinning. That's 'cause I already knew who you were. For a beat, the noise around them faded. Just two souls standing in the middle of a dream come true. That evening, as the gala lights dimmed and the crowd thinned, Nia slipped outside onto the balcony. The city skyline sparkled beneath a light snowfall. Malik joined her, 2 glasses of champagne in hand. To what's next, he said. She lifted her glass, meeting his gaze. To truth, to grandma. To fire, they clinked glasses, laughter soft against the wind. Down below, the marquee glowed bright. Chef Nia Coleman. She looked out at her city, her stage, and smiled through tears. Guess they finally know my name, she whispered. Malik took her hand, his thumb tracing her fingers gently. Yeah, he said. And they ain't ever gonna forget it. Weeks later, the holidays melted into a new year. But the glow of Nia's victory still lingered across Atlanta. Her face now graced the cover of local magazines, her name spoken in kitchens that once shut her out. But fame wasn't what she chased. It was peace. Inside Miss Loretta's old kitchen, Nia stood by the window, sunlight warming her shoulders, stirring a new batch of sweet potato souffle. Zion played on the floor, humming Christmas tunes, though the tree was long gone. "Mama," he said, "you on the internet again?" She laughed. "I guess so, baby." The laughter was light, free, full of something new, not pride, but gratitude. Miss Loretta's words echoed softly in her mind. "Don't cook to be seen, baby. Cook to be remembered." Across town, Tasha walked into a small community kitchen where volunteers cooked meals for families in need. She kept her head down, her once polished nails now bare, her fancy heels replaced by sneakers. A coordinator smiled. "You here to help or eat?" Tasha hesitated, then said quietly, "Help." She tied on an apron, eyes flicking to the big pot of soup simmering on the stove. The smell of garlic and broth filled the air, humble and healing. For the first time in years, she wasn't performing. She was serving. And somehow, that felt right. Back at the newly renovated Coleman's Christmas catering, Nia prepped for her soft opening. The air buzzed with family chatter, gospel music, and the sizzle of butter on cast iron. Malik adjusted decorations near the entrance, pretending not to stare at her too long. "You nervous?" he asked. She smiled, plating a sample dish. "I was. Now I'm just grateful." Guests began to arrive. Neighbors, church folk, old cow workers, everyone who'd believed in her or finally saw her light. Miss Loretta sat at the front table, eyes glistening. Nia called out, "Order up." The first customer took a bite and smiled wide. The room erupted in applause. Malik whispered near her ear, "Told you they'd remember." As the evening settled, Nia stepped outside for air. The soft winter breeze carried laughter from inside, and through the window she saw Zion handing out samples to guests, mimicking her exact tone. "Careful, it's hot," she laughed quietly, shaking her head. Malik joined her, hands in his pockets. "You built something real, Nia," he said. She glanced at him, eyes soft. "Nah," she said, smiling. "We built something." He took her hand, their fingers intertwining naturally. "So what's next?" he asked. She looked out toward the street where a new sign glowed above the door. "Coleman's Christmas Catering, open all year." "Next," she said, "we feed the world." Later that night, when the lights dimmed and the city quieted, Nia sat with Zion at the same kitchen table where everything once began. A single candle flickered between them. "Mama," Zion said, "you famous now?" She smiled. "Nah, baby. I'm fed now." He grinned, nodding. "Grandma would be proud." Nia looked toward the old photo on the wall, Miss Loretta's smile shining eternal. She took a spoonful of souffle and passed it to Zion. "Taste that," she said. "That's what truth tastes like." The camera lingered as they laughed softly together, warmth filling the frame. The final image, the sign outside glowing through the frosted window, her name shining steady, just like her spirit.